have stayed at lots of RV parks, and this RV park is the lowest rated one we've ever booked. Let me show you what I mean. Here are some of the reviews. By far the worst KOA experience we ever had, way too packed with no privacy. Campers were 6 inches apart. We had tools stolen off our truck. Women's bathrooms had no locks or shower curtains, so anyone could walk in at any time and you could see into each shower bay. The bathrooms were absolutely filthy. They advertised a beautiful putt-putt golf course. That is all torn up, so you can't even play. And another. We went to this KOA to stay a few days. The spots were very small, had some fun things for the family to do. But my biggest complaint is the bathrooms. It's like they never cleaned them at all. They stunk, toilets were gross, showers definitely were never cleaned. Mold everywhere, dead bugs. And another. Bathrooms are disgusting. Showers secured by a curtain, one curtain on the floor. Toilets dirty as are the showers, need someone who cares. Maintenance spent their time driving about in their cart looking busy but really doing nothing. Would not recommend this KOA to anyone. And another. This campground has the potential to be great, but it is not taken care of at all. We were there 3 days and saw a total of 2 employees the entire time. The restrooms were absolutely disgusting by the 3rd day. The pool was green and smelled like mold and mildew and also had many cracks with cockroaches coming out of them. The laundry room is nice and the rec room could be, but of course it was dirty as well. And finally, this was something mentioned in a lot of the other reviews as part of a longer one, but I pulled out this part. This wasn't the only person that said this though. All sites are set up like buddy sites, so you will have neighbors in your living space. Me and my neighbor could not open our awnings at the same time. Very crowded feeling, not relaxing at all. Yikes, right? Okay, so I saw these bad reviews. This begs the question, why did I book this RV park? Justin and I generally stay at really nice parks. Well, we were on our way to the Pacific Northwest from Big Bend, and we realized that Southern Utah and Zion National Park were literally right on the way. We decided to try to visit Zion. Since we work full-time, we wanted to stay for 2 weeks to give us a full weekend where we weren't traveling or working, so we would have time to hike at Zion. This park was the only one in the area that could take us. They were the only one with availability. So we decided to take the plunge, bad reviews and all, and we booked a 2-week stay at the St. George Huracan KOA Journey in Huracan, Utah. Now, it certainly didn't hurt that I'd heard of Hurricane, Utah before, which is spelled like hurricane but pronounced Hurcon by the locals. Anyway, it's the setting of Matt's Off-Road Recovery on YouTube. They rescue stuck cars and side-by-sides in southern Utah with beautiful landscape as the background for the show. And I had been watching episodes for many weeks, getting hyped up to stay in this area. I was delighted to find an ad for their services in this KOA when I checked in the RV park map. But what did I think about the park itself? Was it as bad as the review said? Well, let me show you around the campground and I'll tell you what I think. Okay, this is our site. As you can see, we have our Jeep parked lengthwise out front. There was technically enough room to park it backed in with the nose out. We didn't have a neighbor on either side of us the day I did the walk around. We had neighbors come and go the entire 2 weeks. A lot of times they were here for an overnight or perhaps a long weekend. As you can see, we don't have much lawn here. Have that nice tree though. We just have one picnic table between the 2 sites. And then here we are in the back of our space. Not enough to park the Jeep behind. Here we have our utility side. Now, this park is all buddy side configurations, so this utility side would be against our neighbor's utility side. And up here, so we have our dump station and everything, but up at the front of the site, we have like the electric and all the utilities, and this is in the same position for both sites. Justin had a hard time actually reaching it with his hose and cables and all that because it wasn't in a good configuration for us. You can see the red cliffs there though. Pretty cool. See that view. Huracan is beautiful. And I wanted to show you something. We had one picnic table at our site. Other sites had 2 picnic tables. I think we were supposed to have 2, but one of ours was missing. You remember that review that said the slides were almost touching? Here's a good example at one of the neighbor sites. And here are just a couple quick shots so you can get a sense of the park roads. You remember that review that talked about the putt-putt green that was all tore up? Well, here you go. That said, I did see a mother and a couple of little kids out there trying their best to use it one day. Emphasis on trying. It kind of interfered with the game. It was okay for the little ones, but yeah, definitely not in good shape. And speaking of not in good shape, here's the Shuffleboard Court. Now, I don't play shuffleboard. I'm not familiar with the rules or anything like that, so I am not sure how big of a detriment this would be, having it marked up like this, but it's definitely scuffed up. It looks like some of the numbers are missing. It's also in quite bad repair. There wasn't much playground equipment either. I did find this slide and these swings, however. So given the state of some of the other amenities, I was shocked to find that they do in fact have a pool. And not only do they have a pool, they have one of those accessibility chairs to help you get down, and there's a KOA logo in the bottom of the pool. This pool was exceptionally busy. It was very hard getting a shot of it empty without a whole bunch of people in it. So I was particularly interested after I read the reviews to see the bathroom and the showers, because as you remember, they talked about cockroaches and a terrible smell and that it was filthy. So check it out. There's some scuffs and things on the doors. It doesn't look like it's in the best shape. Could use some paint, that sort of thing. Got a stall that's out of order. But here's the thing. You can't smell this. It smelled fine. And it wasn't particularly dirty. Most of what I saw was just kind of scuffs and a dated appearance. It was definitely not the nicest looking bathroom that I was ever in, but I didn't see a roach, it didn't smell terrible, it wasn't filthy, nothing like that. And I will show you the showers as well. Pretty basic campground showers. I've definitely seen better ones in my day. But I was not squicked or anything like that. Granted, I only came into the shower house the once, and I did not use the showers, so it might be better or worse depending on when you come, but when I came, it smelled nice and it was reasonably clean. Even had an accessible shower stall at the end. Definitely not as horrific as the reviews said, thankfully. Perhaps they've cleaned it since then, I don't know. Still, it could use a fresh coat of paint. Now, the clubhouse did smell funny. It didn't smell gross, it didn't smell, dirty or anything, but I can't explain it. It smelled like the 80s. It looked, felt, and smelled like the 1980s in here. Some of it's coming over on film, but I am telling you, the scent, it wasn't bad. It wasn't gross. Perhaps a little musty? I don't know. It made me feel like it was the 80s again. That's when I was a small child. Yeah, you can see here the pool table has some scratches on it. Again, some issues with things not being maintained. Pretty basic clubhouse. Nothing really special. Very 80s. Early 80s, I'd say. Like a time warp. Now here's the laundry room. I was really pleasantly surprised by the laundry room. It was a lot nicer than I thought it would be. A lot bigger, and the laundry machines took an app. There are these directions here. There was one review that said that the app didn't work. I had no problems with it. I found it very easy. It was actually the same app that I had used at Verde Ranch RV Resort, which I've also reviewed. We'll link below. The prices were $225 to wash, $225 to dry, and there was 8 of each machine type, although 1 of each was out of order, so 7 of each when I visited were working. Of course, you have the requisite out of order laundry machine, but I mean, that happens at pretty much every RV park. I'm shocked when there isn't one out of order these days. Yeah, really solid, and a good number of machines to number of campsites. And I'll mention this more in the cons section of the video, but there are cabins you can stay in, and here's just a quick peek of them. Stay tuned to the end. And now it's time for the most important review of all. It's Ratface's review. So, Ratface was not a fan of this park. There wasn't much in the way of grass. You can see his leash is blowing this way and that. Huracan is named that because of the strong wind you get down in the canyon. Ratface is old, he is very light, he is easily blown over. He was not there for this nonsense. This video I have him saying, "No mommy, I want to go back inside." 0 out of 10 for Ratface. So as far as nearby attractions, that's where this park really shines. As I mentioned in the intro, we were here to see Zion National Park. That is the whole reason we booked this RV park, even though the reviews weren't super great. And we had a wonderful time going and hiking and seeing the park. In addition to Zion National Park, you were close to both the towns of Huracan and St. George, which are lovely and have everything you'd ever need, any shops, anything like that. You're also only a 2-hour drive from Bryce Canyon National Park. And you were only a 2-hour drive from Las Vegas. We actually went there one night to meet up with a friend of ours who'd moved to Las Vegas. It was really cool. We went and we saw the Blue Man Group at the Luxor Casino, which was really fun. And then after the show, we went next door to Mandalay Bay, and we went and had dinner at the Irish pub, where I had a wonderful Irish curry. And we had beers that were printed with special messages in the foam at the Guinness store right next door to the pub. The cool thing about that is they let us take our beverages from the Guinness store right to the pub, and we were able to have them with dinner, and everything was really cool. Like, check out how this thing prints.
You're gonna struggle today and struggles today.
It's camera shy.
It's camera shy. No.
Look on top. Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. That is really cool. A very easy, fun night in Las Vegas. So you've seen the campground. Now let's talk about the pros and cons and what I thought overall. We'll start with the pros. The first pro is that beautiful red rock view you get from the park of the Red Cliffs Recreation Area. And in general, the whole town of Huracan has gorgeous red rock and desert views. It's really lovely here. The second pro is what actually prompted us to stay here. It's the proximity to Zion National Park. It's only about a half an hour away. Additionally, you are only a couple hours from Bryce Canyon National Park and only a couple hours from Vegas. In addition, the towns of Huracan and the city of St. George are rather close, and they're really nice and have everything you would ever need. So that in itself is another pro. The fourth pro is the price. It was a really reasonable price for full hookups and being this close to a national park. You know, $50 a night isn't the cheapest thing out there, but boy, people really mark up full hookups, especially when they're close to national parks. So I was pretty impressed with that, generally speaking. And you know what I always say, 50 is the new 30. Parks that cost $30 before the big 2020 RVing boom now cost $50. So to see something about 50 with full hookups next to a national park, pretty good deal. The next pro is the laundry room is really nice and it takes an app. Now, one of the reviews I read said that the app didn't work. It totally works, like it was fine. It's actually the same app at the time of filming that they used at the Verde Ranch RV Resort, which I had stayed at recently. I even had credits left over on my app account from that, so it was really super easy, but it was very easy to use. So maybe they just had a glitch that day or weren't very technically savvy. It worked fine for me during my stay. And the final pro is that there's shade. There are mature cottonwood trees all over the park. I'm actually sitting in the shade of one as I record this. That's what's shading me so I can talk to you folks. Really lovely, and you don't always find that in in desert areas or canyon areas. You know, a lot of RV parks don't have any shade. And it does get toasty here, so it was very appreciated. So those are the pros, and unfortunately there are more cons than pros. I suppose it's not surprising, as this is the worst rated campground I've stayed at, but there are a lot of cons, and it is what it is, so I'll just get through these. The first con is that weird buddy site layout. You saw it. Pretty much the entire RV park is that way. I think it would be wonderful if you had actual buddies you were traveling with, but you know, when it's just you and a neighbor, people you don't know, I'm pretty friendly. I get along with people. I don't really mind it. The trouble is that your neighbors might, and they might be very awkward, and I ran into that a few times. We've been staying here 2 weeks. People have come and go. Some people were perfectly lovely. Other people were really upset about the configuration. Maybe they didn't read the reviews or the site well and didn't realize, and they sort of took it out on us. So it's been a little tense here. The second con has to do with the buddy site. We just had the one picnic table at our site, and it's very ambiguous which site it belongs to. And in fact, we did have one set of neighbors who decided that they wanted to park kind of in our space and shoved the picnic table all the way over, and we basically had no lawn for the long weekend that they were here, and it was very uncomfortable. They just kind of assumed our stuff was in our way, even though, you know, I walk around and I see that a lot of the other sites actually have 2 picnic tables, which kind of brings me to my next con. Because the other sites have 2 picnic tables, it suggests that one of ours is perhaps missing, that there should be 2 at this site. And it suggests that they didn't replace the other picnic table. You know, I can't really prove this, but looking at the state of other facilities here, the torn putting green, the scuffed up bathrooms that were in rough shape. They weren't stinky though, for the record. That did not carry through. I didn't see anything as gross as any of the reviews said, and I really was looking. I do think that they aren't keeping up with maintenance here, and that's a definite con. And the next con is that these sites are in fact very close together. This is especially true for big rigs with lots of slides. I actually found some people that were parked in one row where their slides were basically touching. And I do think part of the buddy site layout is so that the campground owners can cram as many sites as they want to in here, because it does kind of make it easier to do that. It's not the best. It's a con. The next con is that the sites are gravel. A little nitpicky, but you know, gravel sites are harder to level on for us. Our blocks slip, and when we're leaving the campground, the rocks will kick up and thunk, 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 and it's annoying. I'm always worried they're gonna hit the Jeep. You know, it's not the end of the world, but it's always a minor con. The next con is that the electrics are in the same site for people on both sides of the buddy site. So if you're not on the near side, you're going to have a long way to hook up your electrics. Justin almost didn't have enough cord to hook up, and he has a lot of long cords, extension cords. He has a lot of gear, and it was pretty close. So if you don't have the right gear, you might run into an issue. The next con is also from Justin. He didn't like the way the front of our spot sloped down into the road. It kind of limited us where we could park in our space and kind of dictated where we had to park the Jeep. Another con is the cell signal, at least for Verizon in the park, wasn't great. In and of itself, it wouldn't be bad if not for the next con, which is that this park has horrifically bad Wi-Fi, even for campground Wi-Fi standards. Thankfully for us, we have some other options. We do have a Starlink. We were relying heavily on the Starlink during our stay here, you know, but if you didn't have those things and you were trying to work full time, this would be a very trying park for you. The Wi-Fi was terrible and the Verizon cell signal was awful. And the final is that all the nice hillside sites with the best view of the Red Cliffs recreation area have been converted into cabins. And those cabins mostly seem to stay empty, which is a real bummer. Okay, that's a lot of cons, but we got through them. The bottom line is that it worked for this stay. We loved the towns of both Hercon and St. George, and we had a wonderful time at Zion and seeing our friends in Las Vegas. But even with the reasonable price, we would not stay at this park again. Frankly, neighbors just tend to misbehave with the narrow buddy sites. I will say that I didn't find the state of the bathrooms to be anywhere near as bad as they were in the reviews I read. They've probably cleaned it up since those reviews were left, which is great. It was old and, you know, perhaps needed some maintenance, but not filthy. So that part was a lot better than I thought it would be. Frankly, I wish the park had fewer sites and that they weren't buddy sites and that people had more room, even if it meant that the park was a little bit more expensive, to be honest. I think it would feel like a much better value instead of trying to keep the park low and cram everybody in here and delay maintenance. But it's not my park, and I'm sure it works for a lot of other people. You know, it was pretty busy while we were here. It wasn't full. Obviously, we were able to get the 2 weeks when we booked, but lots of in and out business. They're not hurting. So anyway, that's just my take. It was nice talking to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.